professor, who was in the middle of a class, just answered a phone call, but just as he stepped out of the classroom, he heard screams coming from inside. He looked through the window and realized that the classroom was suddenly thrown into chaos, and some students were attacking others as if they had gone mad. The professor felt bad, so he immediately pulled out his legs and ran. But he didn't realize that just as he walked down the stairs, he was pounced on by the madman who came after him. The bitten professor also lost his mind and attacked his wife just after returning home, and even his 2.5-year-old child was not spared. The human race soon discovers that this is a new type of rabies virus, and in just 90 seconds, the bitten person will mutate into a raging, bloodthirsty zombie. Due to the rapid spread of the virus, it spread all over the world in less than 2 years. In order to avoid the attack of zombies, the surviving humans can only live in a dark underground fortress under the shelter of the military. The only way to return to the ground that was overrun by zombies again is to find Patient Zero, the first virus carrier. In this way, the antibodies in his body can be utilized to develop an antidote against the zombie virus. For this purpose, the base has set up a special research team, and Y is one of them. During the outbreak of the virus, he and his wife were attacked by zombies at the same time, and his wife had completely mutated, while he did not undergo a transformation because of his antibodies. He was also blessed with a language that allows him to communicate with the zombies. In order to be able to ask clues from the mouth of the zombies, the base often ventures out to catch zombies to provide to Away for interrogation. On the way to interrogation, Away also discovered a fatal weakness of the zombies. Because the zombies' brains couldn't process music, they would become agonized whenever they heard music. So every time before the interrogation, Away would use music to make the zombies cooperate honestly. But unfortunately, after a long interrogation, the team didn't manage to get any trace of Patient Zero from the zombie's mouth. Because of the frequent loss of teammates in capturing walkers, the colonel has long been disgruntled, and sometimes takes his anger out on the walkers' heads. But they didn't come up empty-handed. Using the antibodies from Way's body, Dr. Precious developed an antivirus serum. This serum can't completely cure the loss, but it can reduce the amount of virus in their bodies and even slow down the rate of infection and mania. The only drawback is that it lasts too short a time. Precious used the serum on the mutated rats, and it only settled for less than 5 minutes. But even though the serum wasn't very effective, as long as a new variety was developed every time, Way would take it to his wife and inject her in the hopes that she could turn back into a human again. Meanwhile, for Patient Zero, the research team didn't give up looking for it. But on this day, because of the soldier's mistake, a zombie breaks free. Seeing that the soldier is in danger, Fatty from the team decisively rushes in to try to stop it, but is accidentally bitten on the arm by the zombie. Y and the colonel rush to pull him away, then quickly send him to the operating room for emergency treatment. It was too late for anesthesia, and Precious decisively removed the bitten arm on the spot, and the entire treatment process didn't take more than the time it took to mutate. After 90 seconds had passed, Fatty showed no signs of mutation either. Everyone was relieved, but not happy for too long. Fatty suddenly began to twitch, and then lost consciousness, which is the precursor of the imminent transformation into a zombie. The colonel orders him to be tied up immediately. Although the time spent on treating the wound did not exceed 90 seconds, the symptoms that Fatty has just shown indicate that he has been infected with the virus. Not wanting to give up, Precious tries to continue resuscitation, not realizing that the next second Fatty starts to mutate. The moment he got up, the colonel decisively pulled the trigger. The delay in finding clues to Patient Zero, and now the lives of the researchers have been paid for it. It's a big blow to the whole team. But the mission must go on. Yet, in the next interrogation, Away found 2 zombies who were bitten at the very beginning, and both of their mutation locations came from the same place. Therefore, Precious guesses that this place is likely the virus outbreak site, and Patient Zero must be in this place as well. She suggests the general to expand his search around this area. The colonel decisively refuses after hearing this. He doesn't want to risk his soldiers' lives. However, Precious states that this is the only way for now, and that time is running out for humanity as the zombies are evolving. Not only are they smarter than before, their group consciousness is getting stronger. This base is hidden, but it's only a matter of time before it's discovered. The general is a bit worried after hearing this, so he agrees to the 2 men's suggestion and orders the colonel to conduct a search immediately. However, an accident happened. Several soldiers unfortunately died while on a mission, and just as they were disposing of the bodies, they didn't realize that a zombie half formed into a corpse had mixed into the base. One soldier was bitten on the spot. The sudden attack caught the crowd off guard, and they lost several of their teammates in an instant. Reacting, the colonel grabbed his pistol and prepared to fight back, not realizing that he would be pounced on by his mutated teammate on the spot. He had just fired his gun to send his teammates away when the bald zombie suddenly appeared again and pinned him to the ground. But luckily Y arrived in time to subdue him at the critical moment. The enraged colonel wanted to finish him off with one shot, but was stopped by Away, as the bald walker seemed to have something to say. This bald zombie was none other than the professor who had mutated at the very beginning. Compared to the other zombies, the bald zombie looks calm, and he is not affected by the music. Before Way could open his mouth to interrogate him, he told everything he knew and said that he had come this time to meet Way. He had long heard from the other infected that there was an alien in the human race that could read the language of the zombies, and also knew that Way possessed antibodies in his blood. As for why he wouldn't be affected by the music, it was simply because all individual behaviors were different, and it didn't mean that all zombies were the same, just like humans would have different hobbies and aversions. He even felt that zombies were the advanced species that humans had evolved from. Humans could hunt livestock for food, and zombies could kill humans for survival. Way was speechless for a while, so he had to change the topic to Patient Zero. But Baldhead says there is no such person, and says that the virus comes from the anger in everyone's heart. It's been in the human body since the beginning, and the extreme stress of modern life has awakened it. Strictly speaking, everyone could be patient zero. Away suddenly felt that there was something wrong with the bald head, obviously stalling on purpose, talking for a long time without getting to the point, just talking about useless stuff. He then asked Precious to bring in a detector to examine the bald head's entire body. But after some scanning, no location tracker was found. But his intuition told Y that there must be something wrong with bald head. So he went back to the prison where the zombies were being held, and just like the bald zombie, the few zombies that had been interrogated recently all came from the same place. They must have been captured on purpose, trying to use it to find a human hiding place. However, just as Wei told the supervisor to open the cage, the Time Walker chose an extreme approach. By the time the cage was opened, he had already given himself away. But from the corpse, Wei managed to find the location tracker. It seems that the base is no longer safe, and he immediately reports this to the general. Apparently the zombies are no longer scattered, and have evolved to an incredible degree. But while the people were discussing their strategy, they didn't realize that the walkers had infiltrated the base. They start attacking the residents, and come to the control room to release all the zombies in custody. A patrol supervisor was bitten on the spot, and the walkers poured out. The base was instantly thrown into chaos, and people began to run for their lives. The sudden attack leaves the general helpless. In front of the intelligent and physically powerful zombies, the soldiers suffered heavy casualties. Moreover, those who were bitten would be mutated, and after 90 seconds, they would turn around and attack the human beings. Seeing that the zombie army is getting bigger and bigger, Y tells Precious to hurry to the top of the base. He must go and save his wife. With the zombie army attacking the base, a few soldiers can only fight and retreat, but the next second they are swallowed up by the following horde of zombies. The zombies break into the conference room and attack the base's top brass. Precious and the colonel decisively leave, ready to take the elevator to evacuate the place. The general, who is right behind them, tries to enter the elevator, but is shot in the thigh by the colonel. Taking advantage of the gap between the general's collapse, the colonel immediately closes the elevator door and watches as the general is torn apart on the spot by the zombies that are right behind him. Faced with Precious' accusations, the colonel is unfazed and says it's for the safety of both of them. Precious shows her understanding while approaching the colonel, who is drinking water, then snatches the pistol from the other man's waist and presses the elevator in the process. Precious doesn't want to leave just like that, but plans to go back and take her research with her. The colonel immediately refuses, saying it's too dangerous, and tries to grab the gun from Precious' hand, but he doesn't expect Precious to pull the trigger. At this point the entire base has basically fallen, and the battle-less civilians are left as lambs to the slaughter. Y arrives at the prison and realizes that his wife hasn't left, so it seems that the serum is having an effect. The two had just walked out of it when they met Precious, who had doubled back. Seeing the woman behind Y, Precious is worried about the other woman's mutation and tries to shoot her. Wei explains that the serum has taken effect, and says that if his wife can't leave, he will stay here. Seeing Wei's firm attitude, Jin has no choice but to agree. At this time, a zombie suddenly came out, but fortunately, Jin reacted in time and successfully disposed of it. The three of them then went to the lab and managed to get the results of the experiment after killing a zombie. But when they are ready to leave, they find that the outside has been filled with zombies. Want to return to the original way is almost impossible. Luckily, Precious knows another escape route, which is the ventilation ducts of the base, from which they can climb up to reach the top floor. But when they climb to a horizontal pipe, but because the wire cannot withstand the weight of the accident, the zombies quickly found a few people and chased up. Meanwhile, a few walkers came to the interrogation room and released the bald guy behind it. The three of them had just arrived at the topmost floor through the ventilation ducts when they were blocked by the bald head. It turned out that the reason why he went to all the trouble of attacking this base was to take care of Wei. It was because the serum in his body was the biggest threat to the corpses. To the infected, Wei was patient zero, and he would never allow such a danger to exist. As soon as the words fell light, the head launched an attack on Wei, and his wife rushed forward to help when she saw this. Although also possessing a zombie physique, the bald head was more powerful. Even though the three took turns launching attacks, they were no match for him, and they were all knocked to the ground in a few rounds. But villains often die from too many words. Wei saw the right moment and chose to die with his opponent. The sharp iron rod strung the two together. Wei endured the pain to break free from the bindings, and the trapped bald man could only hiss loudly, drawing all the zombies outside. The three saw this and hurriedly buggered off, in order to buy time for the two to escape. Wei's wife chose to stay behind to block the corpses. When Wei wasn't looking, she closed the hatch decisively, tears streaming down her face. Apparently the serum had not only worked, but it had also slowly given her human feelings, but it was all too late. Amidst Wei's desperate cries, his wife resolutely rushed towards the oncoming corpses. Eventually the two come to the surface and drive away on a motorcycle.